Hey, what's up guys? So in today's video we're going to talk about the topic of validation of POIs. So it's not selection of POIs. So in this example on this chart, this is Nasdaq on the 1 hour time frame, early March, right? So this we can identify as a POI. So this zone here, a POI. This zone we can identify as a POI in itself. So let me actually do that. That's one POI, right? And this is another one. This one. Okay, so that is identification of POIs. But what I want to talk about is validation of POIs. So what gives us POI strength, right? So we're going to go through the criteria that I generally look at. So I've marked this POI out. So what criteria do I look at? Okay, so firstly, it needs to be somehow connected to higher time frame order flow. There needs to be some higher time frame confluence to look for potential selling positions from here. So let's go to the 4 hour. Let's just see. Okay, so our area is here, right, on the 4 hour time frame, but it's there. So we want to see where this came into. So this you can clearly see if we look to the left here, it sweeps all these previous highs, and this being the 4 hour, this is most likely a previous day highs. Here's also an opening gap, and here's a lot of inefficiencies, a fair value gap and an order block above. So we tap into this premium zone after there has been, so here we break above these highs, and then we change character to the downside, and then we retrace to a premium zone. So here is higher time frame confluence to sell from this POI, right? Okay, so the first thing you want to look at is premium and discount. So when we look at this, our POI needs to be at a premium if we're looking for sales. So here, this midpoint line, this is the 50% line of this box that I pulled from this high to this low. So this is 50% retracement. So anywhere above the 50% would be regarded as a premium, whereas when it's below the 50%, it's at a discount. Okay, so you want to look at POIs if you're looking for shorts above the 50%. You're looking to sell at a premium price, so you're looking to sell at a higher price, right? Okay, so let's go back on the 1 hour. Let's look, we looked at that, right? Higher time frame order flow, also looking to sell at a premium. Now the POI, did it sweep liquidity? That is a very strong component of it. So yeah, we look, there's like internal sweep there, right? So there's a high here formed, and then we sweep it here. So this is technically a break of structure to the upside. This is a bullish break of structure. So the low of that impulsive move, because price impulse from this low into this high, and we broke this previous high, so that's a higher high. So a break of this low is a change of character, somewhat internal change of character, and then we break all of these lows as well. So there was a sweep. You're looking for, did the POI sweep liquidity, and did it change character or break structure aggressively, leaving inefficiency in it? So inefficiency being fair value gaps or any other types of inefficiencies. So this I regard as an inefficiency. This candle here, when this candle closed, it closed over here, right? And then the next candle opened, but it didn't really retrace into the previous candle. So for me, this is like an inefficient move in price. So here is a break of structure with inefficiency, so it breaks with momentum. Then when it breaks structure, is the internal liquidity engineered? So internal liquidity here is a high. So you want to have at least one high formed as the liquidity, so you know you sell above there. If there's no high formed here, internal high formed, then this I would not regard because it's not fulfilling this. Then this would actually be the internal liquidity to this higher POI. But because there is a internal high formed here, it gives more strength to this POI. So when structure breaks, is the internal liquidity engineered? And on the return to the POI, is there sufficient liquidity engineered? So here, when we break lower here, we have a lower low. When we break this low, all of this is internal liquidity because there's plenty of selling happening, even though it's happening at a discount when we're looking at it as this as an impulsive move. It's a bearish impulsive move and we're at a low, so it's very much at a discounted price. There are sellers here, resistance is being formed, here's trendline liquidity being formed, we're breaking internal lows, so it's giving indications, it's inducing selling, so here's plenty of internal liquidity. Yeah, so let's just go over those requirements. Firstly, higher time frame. There needs to be some kind of higher time frame confluence that is behind the position that you want to take. So here we came into big 4 hour, probably even on the daily time frame, fair value inefficient areas in price or a premium zone. Then here in the POI we swept liquidity. So did it sweep liquidity? Yes. Does it break structure aggressively? Yes. Leaving imbalance? Yes. There's internal liquidity when it breaks, and there's internal liquidity when price returns to the POI. So just how we did that now, in this we can also look, so within the POI on lower time frames we can look for the same process in here to look for our entry. But alternatively, for me, a lot of times with these type of PO or just any type of POIs, when because I'm looking at this as the liquidity, right? And then this is the next liquidity, so potentially selling between the zones. So for me, I would sometimes just enter, like take an entry at the midpoint with stop loss above, somewhere above, and then target the lows. But obviously there is potential for lower time frame entries. Okay, so this is on the 3 minute. Let's actually go lower. This is okay. Let's just go to the 1 minute time frame. We can see more on the 1 minute. Okay, so yeah, we have the same thing happen. So is a higher time frame confluence. Now we're on a low time frame, so the higher time frame is this POI that we're in, because this POI is connected to an even higher time frame. So here we have a sweep, so break of structure to the upside, and then the low of that impulse is here, so this is a change of character. Okay, so now this is a bearish impulsive move. So when we're coming into this POI, structure is still bullish coming up here. So if we're looking to sell, either like how I would have sometimes would have sold is just like once we come to the midpoint, and then maybe even this, there's a small internal change of structure, just take it on this. But if you want to have a more objective approach and yeah, more confirmation, here's this break of structure to the upside, change of character to the downside. Then let's just look with the fib, like we're looking for the premium zones, right? So everything above the 50%. So this is the 50%, right? So we're basically looking at above here, and here's clear internal liquidity, and here's a POI. So let's just take this box away. This is basically the POI that we're looking at. Here's the inefficiency. Yeah, and here's the internal liquidity on the break down here. And here is internal liquidity as we're coming up, because here's a high formed here, and there's 3 drives up here. So there's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you could have even waited for further confirmation because now there is a higher high formed, and then we break to the downside, so that is a change of character, bearish. So basically this, you could have just entered on this once we break this low. So we've refined it in so many ways. Like you could have just taken it in the POI, midpoint of the POI. You could have waited for a small confirmation like this. You could have waited for a bigger confirmation like this, where we swept, changed character, retraced into a premium zone above liquidity, and after there has been some liquidity also generated on the way up. Like if price just comes up and just like rather wait for maybe possibly gonna sweep this high, and then for a small change of character like this to happen above here, then to take it down. So like when one of those criteria aren't being met, then like it puts doubt. Like if price comes down here and then I'm thinking, okay, this is potentially a sell zone, but if I'm seeing a very aggressive reversal of price coming up, then it's not meeting this criteria of the internal liquidity being generated, at least one high. Like even if this high was just formed, I would still be comfortable with just taking it immediately as it comes into here. But if price just comes aggressive, and then yeah, I would reconsider. Okay, so I just want to give a quick recap before I end the video. So remember, we were looking at this POI, right? Validating it, and we said it must be connected to higher time frame. So on the like if we look, we could even just look on the daily time frame. So here we were tapping into daily fair value gap. So this is where the order flow was sort of kicking in, and the POI that we were looking at was clearly connected to the tap into that daily POI. So here we have a sweep of liquidity, and we have aggressive break of structure with imbalance, inefficiency, internal liquidity on the way down, and internal liquidity on the way back. And then we looked here on the lower time frame when we came back to the POI, and we repeated the same process to refine our entry. So I hope everyone found that insightful and valuable. That's like one of the most valuable things for me in trading. So yeah, till next time, cheers.